Hello students, we are learning Operating System Unit 5 File System, and today's topic is Allocation Methods. What do you mean by allocation method? Allocation method refers to how the disk blocks are allocated for our files, or in other words we can say that how the files or the data blocks are stored on disk. What is the purpose of this allocation method? These methods are essential for file system performance, efficient disk utilization, and data access. The main three primary file allocation methods are contiguous allocation, linked allocation, and indexed allocation. So let us see these allocation methods one by one. The first allocation method that we are going to study is contiguous allocation method. As the name suggests, file occupies the set of contiguous blocks on the disk. Now what do you mean by the contiguous blocks? Adjacent blocks, okay? And it requires the starting block number and length. Whenever we store the file, we are only needed two information, that is the starting block number and the length of that file. It's very simple to implement, fast, sequential and direct access, but it suffers from external fragmentation. And also the other limitation for contiguous allocation is it's very difficult to grow the files because it needs the contiguous pages. Now let us see one example. So you see, this is our hard disk. This is our hard disk, and on this our hard disk we have some files. So if you see, there is a file called as count, tr, mail, and so on. Let us see how the file count is stored on our hard disk. So as I mentioned earlier, we just need the starting block number. So here you can see there is a starting block number, or I can say there is a list of starting block numbers of all the files, and then there is a list of all the length of the file. If we want to see the example of count file, so the name of the file is count and the starting block of the count file is 0. So you can see the starting block is 0. And what is the length of the file? 2. So 2 means 2 blocks. So 0 and 1. Okay, so this is our count file. And you see, it has got, the file count has got 2 contiguous blocks. So the same thing is true for all other files. So here you can see the examples. The contiguous blocks example is here. The different files you can see. In linked allocation, each file is a linked list of disk blocks and not necessarily the contiguous blocks. Each block contains the pointer to the next block. And free space management system is called when the new block is needed by our file. There is no external fragmentation and files can grow easily. What is this free space management? We are going to see afterwards. Let us see one example of linked list allocation. So here you can see there is a directory and we have a file whose name is Jeep. In this linked allocation, we need the starting address and we need the ending address, or we store the starting address and the end address. Now for this file, what is the starting address? Block number 9. So this is the block number 9. And each block, if this is block number 9, if this is my block number 9, this block stores the information of the file, and along with the information, it stores the pointer to the next block. Okay, so we start with Jeep at block number 9. Block number 9 has a pointer to the next block. So here if you see, the block number 9 is pointing to block number 17. So that is our next block. Block number 17 is pointing to block number 1. So that is our third block. Then block number 1 is pointing to block number 11. That is our fourth block. And the block number 11 is pointing to the block number 25. And in block number 25, there is -1. So next pointer is not pointing to anything else. -1 denotes the end. So this is how the files are stored. The first block, we know the address of the first block. We know the address of the last block. First block knows the address of the second block knows the address of the third block, and so on. How does it know the address of next blocks? Because there is a pointer which points to the next block. Now there is the disadvantage of this linked list allocation might be, suppose in between some blocks get damaged. The block number 2 or the record where second block is stored is damaged. Now when this second block is damaged, we lose the pointer because second block has the pointer to the third block and third block has the pointer to the fourth and fifth and so on. So it's very difficult to go to the next blocks of information because we have lost the in-between blocks. So this is the main disadvantage of linked allocation. If in between some blocks get damaged, we cannot access the remaining records even though they are intact. Okay. The third allocation method is indexed allocation method. In this allocation, special block called as index block is there and it contains all the pointers to the file data blocks. Let me just change. I'll just move this side so that you can see properly. So in indexed allocation, there is one index block maintained. This is the index block which is maintained and it contains all the pointers to all the files data. For example, if you see there is a file called as G and it stores the index block number. The index block number is block number 19 and in this block number 19 there is the address of all the blocks. So we can say that these are the pointers to all the blocks of that file where we have contained the data. So it's block number 9, block number 16, block number 1, block number 10 and so on. Okay. Operating system stores one index block per file. It allows the random access. There is no external fragmentation. The only disadvantage of indexed allocation is the overhead of index block and it can be very complex for large files. Thank you.